So we're going through the book of James, and I've been doing this a few weeks now. And I don't know if you've noticed, but James has this habit of just making these incredible one-liners. You know that you read this thing and you just go like, "What?" I mean, I don't know if you, or maybe that's me. I mean, I've heard it a few times though. I think from people. Here's a few of them. James 1:2. He starts off right off the bat. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. Doesn't what? I mean, it's like that doesn't even make sense, right? Or just a few verses later, verse 9, chapter 1, let the lowly brother boast in his exaltation. Well, of course, right? and the rich in his humiliation. What? I mean, that hardly even makes sense without some explanation. Or chapter 2, faith by itself, it does not have works, is dead. Like, what? I mean, do you ever have that reaction going through some of these in James? How about this one, about the tongue? We talked about this a couple weeks ago or so. The tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of our lives, and set on fire by hell. Oh, first service, they were in it. What? Okay, maybe it only impacts me. Well, this morning we're gonna do what I think is another pretty good one-liner in James. This is in chapter 4, and it's a pretty incredible verse, really. He says in verse 14, "What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes." Oh, that's lame. What? Man, James is not the guy you call on right before the team goes into the big game. Hey, here's the deal, guys. The game doesn't matter. You're all going to die anyway. Have a good day. I mean, that doesn't fire you up. That's not like a rah-rah. I doubt there's a lot of TV preachers talking about this verse today. It's just not really a lot of excitement in this whole verse here. But actually, it is an extremely healthy way to look at life. I mean, we have to keep like one eye on eternity and one eye on reality and in our current situation. We are a vapor. I mean, I'm not going to last forever. It's just how it is. Matter of fact, it's not just a James thing. This is all over Scripture. In the book of Psalms, Psalms like the Psalm book of the Old Testament, right? People, they actually sung a lot of these scriptures in Psalms. And I'm trying to figure out if this is like an emo band or something. Because in Psalm, listen to some of the words of Psalm 89. Remember how short my time is. Yeah, that's a lift me up. What man can live and never see death? Who can deliver his soul from the power of Sheol? Who's not going to die? Let's go to verse 4. I mean, wow. Psalm 102. My days pass away like smoke. Just like it's kind of the same visual of a vapor. It just kind of goes away. Psalm 144, verse 4. Man is like a breath. His days are like a passing shadow. These are psalms. The psalms of the faith. Job, he went through some hard times, and he reflected on those as well. He said in chapter 7, verse 7, my life is a breath. Chapter 14, first couple verses. Man who is born of a woman is few of days and full of trouble. He comes out like a flower and withers. He flees like a shadow and continues not. It's kind of a downer. If you let yourself go there. Last week we looked at the first part of James chapter 4, and it was a pretty strong, very emphatic challenge to have a healthy relationship with Jesus, to not be in a love relationship with the world and worldly things, the whole flesh versus the spirit, walking in the spirit versus walking in the flesh. And James is like, don't be a friend of the world. Keep your focus on God. His whole thing is on a healthy relationship with Jesus. Now, he wasn't saying that just to be a downer or just to like be a mean guy or be a joy kill type of thing. He explains in our text today, just a few verses down the road here, right, that the reason that he is so emphatically encouraging us, challenging us to maintain a healthy spiritual walk is because our life on this planet is so short. We're just not going to be around forever physically. We will be around eternally, and life is too short to allow the world to distract us from our relationship with Jesus. And all the glittery things that we get attracted to, and the distractions, and just the things of life. Life goes by too quick to allow ourselves to be distracted from Him, when literally our eternity is a heartbeat away at any moment. I don't know when that heartbeat will be, but it'll be at some point for all of us. It'll be the last one, and there's eternity. You're there. You are an eternal being, but this body is not. So don't allow the things of this body to distract you from the spiritual eternity that you have. Here's the the bigger context of James chapter 4 that we're talking about today, that we took this little your life's a vapor thing out of. To put it in context, verses 13 through 17 of James 4. Come now, you who say today or tomorrow we'll go to this and such town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit, yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life, he says? You're a mist that appears for a little while, a little time, and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. Now, James isn't saying it's a bad thing to plan. I mean, he's not saying stop planning things or don't have an idea of what you want to do next. His point is really simple. Life is short. I mean, that's just really all he's saying here. Just life is short. Keep this perspective. Don't forget life is short. Whether you just live a few years or maybe a few decades, or if you're blessed enough to be like my grandmother who just died like short of 102. I mean, she just died like a week or two, I can't remember now, shy of 102 years old. That's a long life. Any way you look at it, it's still a vapor. I mean, it's here, and then you're gone. I know at times we all go through periods when it seems like you're going in slow motion. You know, like, man, this is lasting forever. I remember elementary school lasting like forever. I remember being in 4th grade thinking, man, I want to be in 6th grade someday. And it was inching and creeping along. But all of a sudden, I was graduating from high school. You know, it's like, bam, all of a sudden, like, whoa, what happened? Then I went through college, and then I started working on master stuff. And then, I'm married, and I have kids, and then my kids grew up, and then they're married. Pretty soon they'll have kids. This all of a sudden, it just goes crazy. So it may seem like times like it's just drudging along, but if you look back over your life, man, look how fast did you get to where you are right now. It's been a whirlwind, hasn't it? Time is like that. It's just crazy how fast it flies by. Ask anybody in their 80s or 90s. You know, and you might think, man, that's really getting up there. I mean, you've been around a long time. You probably think life is a long, horrid walk. They'd say, man, it's been fast. I mean, have you ever done that? I mean, you had those conversations with someone who's been around decades and decades. I don't care how long they've been here. They talk about how fast life is and what a vapor it is. That is the reality of life. So what's the point? What's James getting at? Well, I mean, okay, life is short. He's telling us that, but why do we care? Well, is that just a downer, or is there something to it? Here's his advice. Plan like you're going to live forever. Live like it could be your last week. I think that's keeping one eye on eternity and one eye on now and moving forward. I'm a planner. That's how I am. I'm a dreamer. I've always got stuff going on my mind. Go ahead, make your plans. Go ahead, assume you have a future, but do so humbly with verse 15 in mind. If the Lord wills, we'll live and do this or that. And if he wills not, it's okay. I went home. That's the perspective to have. Like I said, I'm a planner, I'm a dreamer, I've always got something going on in my mind. And I'll go through phases in life where I'm just crazy. I'm crazy with all this stuff that's going on in my head. Like I'm going through one of those phases right now where it's just, my brain is just spinning at 100 miles per hour, and I go to sleep and I'll sleep for like 2 hours. Then I wake up and all of a sudden I'm writing stuff down again, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I got all these plans going on. And like the Real Men Conference is coming up. I've been planning that for a year, and now we're talking about this ninja thing in the summer, so that's been going on in my mind. And of course the sermon things are going on, and the plan and all that. I mean, there's just all these things going on. They're always happening. They're always, spinning in my head. I got half of my house remodeled in my mind. I have this great idea. I'm going to tear out this wall and that wall, and we're going to do this and this. And I need Ken to come over and tell me if we can actually do that without my house imploding and blowing up or something. Because I don't know the details. I just have dreams and I have plans and I sit there and I draw things out. This is going to be great. And Cheryl's like, okay. She knows to smile and nod, and I'll just go on to the next plan later when I get in one of these moods. Like we want to plant churches. We're going to plant churches. We got all these churches we need to plant. All these things are going through my mind. We drive by a building. We could put a church there. It'd be great. And now, like, we're planting churches in Zimbabwe. We can do that. Why not? Matter of fact, we're going to plant a church in Zimbabwe in June. And it's going to be really exciting. And we're putting all these plans in place for this revival and all this stuff that we're doing in Zimbabwe in June. So it's just go, 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 go. Now, you know what? I might not make it to tomorrow. Matter of fact, the way my brain's going, something's going to blow. Something's going to blow. Shanna, my 22-year-old, the other day, we were at lunch, and she goes, Dad, are you getting enough sleep? Like, you're 22. You don't even know what sleep is. She goes, I'm concerned. How's your health? Are you okay? Because I'm just in one of those times. I'm planning. I got a lot to do. And you know what? Okay, so plan. Okay, enjoy it. Have some fun. Enjoy yourself. But keep it in perspective. I know exactly how we're going to run 1,000 people in this building. You think we can't run 1,000 people in this building? Well, actually, we can. I have a plan. Trust me. It's multiple services, and so when's the next service? Will it be a Saturday night? We'll do a Sunday, maybe a Sunday night. Could be we do a Monday service. I have plans for every one of those contingencies. To which the band all just quit. But we're not there yet. But so I'm always like way down here planning stuff, realizing this is the reality. And so and that's not bad. I mean, it drives people crazy, but it's not like sin. Realizing maybe God has a different plan. Let him. He gets to be boss. That's the perspective of I'm going to plan like I'm going to live forever, because it's going to take forever to do all the plans I have. I mean, it's going to take 4 or 5 lifetimes at least. But I'm okay. I'll do. Even Jesus, man, he had a lot he could be doing. Right before going to the cross, he's like, yeah, I've done all the Father has called me to do. I'm going to the cross now. Oh, there were more people to be healed. There were more sermons to be taught. There were more disciples to make. He's like, I've done it all. I'm done. So, keep that in perspective. At any moment, at any time, God could say, okay, Dan, thank you. Well done. Come on home. Let somebody else take the baton. You're driving me crazy too. Stop it. I don't know. It could happen. So I'm going to plan like I have several more decades of fruitful life left. But I know I have nothing guaranteed. If the Lord wills, all this stuff will take place, and we'll have all kinds of fun. That's pretty good advice from James. I mean, that's just kind of level-headed. Like, just take it. Just remember. The eternity's on the way. He also advises, make as big of an eternal impact as possible. I think this is big. This is big when we have that one eye on eternity and one eye on today. Is I want to make an eternal impact. When did Jesus say the angels celebrate? Was when you start your 6th service at the church? And the angels are really going, man, we're number 6. Oh, number 7. 7's holy. Come on. They don't care how many services we have. When we build the next addition onto the building, they could care less. When I finally make the big bank account that I've been looking for, I mean, they're like, oh, finally he's made it. It's like, nah, they don't. What did he say? It's when one sinner repents and comes home, and then like this is celebration. In heaven. That's what God cares about, the eternal stuff. Because I don't care what we do to this building, it'll burn someday. I mean, it's all metal. It'll melt someday. It won't be here. It's not gonna. It'll be dust. This body gonna be dust. Anything I do that's not eternal, it's gonna be over. I've been a faithful Iowa Hawkeye fan my whole life. They'll be gone someday. Political party, gone. I mean, whatever it is you get passionate about in life, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be gone. It's just gone. So make as big of an eternal impact as possible. I'm thankful for the people in my life who, throughout my life, paused long enough to make an eternal impact. Whether it was just a comment, a nudge, a direction, some teaching, whatever. People who said, hey, Dan, there's something bigger than you. There's a God out there. I'm thankful for my mom, who wasn't like a strong Bible doctrine person, but just believed in God, you know. And so she like set me on the path and got me started. But man, I was a week ago or so, I was going to go to a conference and they were having snowstorms and I thought, I didn't want to risk being stuck. I'm just tired of winter like y'all are, right? And so I went the other direction. I said, well, I already have the time planned. I took a 1-day retreat to go, like, I got the rest of the year planned and did a bunch of sermonizing and stuff and planned it. And I went to Clear Lake, Iowa, which I spent elementary school, kindergarten through 6th grade in. And so part of it was I hung out and I did all this planning. And then right before going home, I thought, I'm just going to drive around the old place. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, you saw I posted a picture of this church I used to go to. And anyway, I'd parked and I decided I should go in and look at it. And then my house was a block away. See, so I went to my house and I took this, a 1 minute 6 second video. I just left my house and I'm walking down this alley to church. This is the most influential walk of my life. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to you, but I grew up in a family that was hot and cold when it came to church. Sometimes they were like, yeah, let's go every week. And then it was like, but I was like, well, I still want to go, So I was a kid, so I had to go where I could walk. And so this is the doctrinal position of how I chose the church I went to. And so this was the walk I would take. And when I went to this church, there were the preacher was Ray Faust. He loved God. Oh, he loved God. And he loved people. He loved me. I was his neighbor. He also lived next door to us, and I was the one who was teaching his children words that they weren't supposed to say. When I was standing on the picnic table screaming obscenities, it was at his house. He had every reason to not like me. But I would walk down this path, and there's the church building, and he loved me. No matter what. Well, you know the story. Obviously became a Christian, right? And I would go to his house after being a believer. He was a gardener guy, and I would talk to him at the garden, just ask him Bible questions. Like, well, he's a preacher. He knows everything, right? And so I would just ask him my little 4th grade questions, and I would walk down this alley and go to his office, and I would ask him questions. And I have no idea if he was doing like something really super important or not. He just dropped everything he was doing, and he would just sit me down in the chair in front of me. What do you want to know? What's your question? And I would ask questions, and he would answer them. It's like, well, that's crazy. Now, I had this crazy idea that when I became a preacher, I'd have all kinds of kids coming to my office every day. I've never had that once. Your kids have good judgment of character. I don't know, something. But that was such an impact on me. Were you able to throw those pictures on there? I added this in between services. So yeah, I went in. This is like about where we would sit. I imagined this as this huge building, and when I went in there, I was so deflated. This building's bigger. This room is bigger than that little church was, and we can hold more people in it. So that was kind of threw me off, and I went in there as an adult because it was just the same walls and the same lights. I'm positive, and everything else. It's just different chairs. They were wooden pews back then. But I sat there and I had listened to Ray Faust preach week after week after week, and it just I can't tell you any details. I don't remember that, but it soaked in. I love Jesus. And I caught on to Jesus. My Sunday school teacher, Mrs. Huberger, was there, and I've told you about her before. I don't know the administrative side of how this worked, but somehow, I'm like in I don't remember when it started. 1st grade, and she's my teacher. Oh, she's fun. I really like her. And then 2nd grade, I'm supposed to go to the next class level. Suddenly, she's my teacher again. And 3rd grader, like she's my teacher again. Like, it was really weird. Like she kept moving up. I don't know if that was punishment. From administration and the church saying, hey, you're going to watch that guy because you're the only one who can control him. Because literally, I was that church kid. I was the one who ran around slamming doors. My parents weren't there. I was one alone, so we'd do potlucks, and I'd be running wild, throwing food, and I was a terrible kid. But Mrs. Huberger loved me. She worked at a little grocery store downtown. It was called a Red Owl back then. Today, it's this unique boutique. But that right there, this was the moment. I've described this. Some of you know the story. When I had my stealing club, every day we had to go to a store and steal something. This was a grocery store, and I had stolen a ice cream sandwich, put it up my sleeve, and I was like, ugh. I mean, by then I was a pro. I was like, I'd never been caught ever. And they're going to catch me someday. They're going to hear one of these sermons and come and get me. But I was in that store on that side of the building, the left side of the building. I'd taken myself an ice cream bar. I was getting ready to go. And she worked there, Mrs. Huberger, this gal who had been my Sunday school teacher for years. And it hadn't caught, obviously hadn't stuck on yet. And I remember walking toward the door, and I was pretty proud of myself. No one caught me. And she's, hi, Danny. And I'm like, oh, hi. And I walked out this door, and I got probably about to like the first window there, and it just hit me. That's when Jesus hit me right there. That's the spot. And I thought, I've got to stop this. I mean, I know it's wrong. This is like total rebellion from God. I know not to do this. And right there, I still ate the ice cream bar. I wasn't a maturing Christian at that moment. I didn't know how to go in and say, oh, you want this back? But that was the last one. That was my last thing. It was right in front of. It was probably more by the brick wall than before. I'll bet you, because I wouldn't have eaten it yet, where they could see me. I was smarter than that. I was a clever little thief. But and God hit me in like all the years of her teaching. Not even the teaching. I don't even the lessons at that point. There was another moment later on of the VBS, but that's a different story. When I had like, oh, Jesus wants me to do more than just believe. It just, all that relationship that she held, all the influence she had in my life, and my mom, and everybody came together at that moment, at that store, and I thought, it's time. It's time I start doing the Jesus thing. Fourth grade, somewhere between third and fourth grade. So I'm not even in fourth grade yet. And that was it, because someone invested their life in me. I don't know if she really liked teaching. She also we did the junior church. All the kids would get together for Sunday school, and they'd do a singing time, and then they'd go off to the classrooms. We did that. She led the singing and that. And I can remember her, I will never march in the, all the different old songs of the old days. And she did that with passion. She may have hated it, I don't know, but I thought she loved it. Maybe she did. I'm sure there were times she was like, man, this is just a grind, But she kept doing it, and she kept doing it. She impacted my life. I will be eternally grateful for that woman, and for the other people who have invested eternally in me. Just teaching Jesus. Just teaching Jesus. We have people here that teach children, and sometimes it's probably a grind. Sometimes you leave it to the last second. You're like, oh, I got to put a lesson together real quick. I don't know. I get life happens, right? Don't underestimate what you're doing. Really. We have people teaching in our Sunday school classes. We have people right now in the hall teaching in junior worship. We have people teaching adults in classes or in small groups, and you're part of a small group, and you're having influence and rubbing shoulders with each other spiritually. Don't underestimate the little things, the relationship, the fact that you care, the fact that you're engaging in people's lives. That's eternal. There's a lot of stuff you can chase after in life, and it's not all bad. But none of it will last like that. Mrs. Huberger was a vapor. She's either 150 years old or she's in heaven, And those little words, even at a store outside of church, when her thief student was there, she probably didn't know what I was doing. Who knows? She stopped and said, hey, hi, Danny. That's eternal. That's eternal stuff. Don't underestimate what you're doing there when you're engaging in eternal things. Bottom line, in James 4 here, we're a vapor. All of us. We're all a vapor. We're gonna meet Jesus one of these days. It's just gonna happen. Probably sooner than you think. I don't know how long, but it's gonna, a vapor from now, you'll be in the presence of the living God. Number one, if you're not ready for that, that frightens you, man, let's talk. We'll straighten that up. Because he loves you and he wants this to be the greatest reunion ever. Number two, if you're right with him, if you're in this relationship with him and you're following him, man, that's going to be the greatest moment ever. It is celebration time. It is eternal reward time. It is well done, good and faithful servant. Come on in. It's the best moment of your life. So if you are a believer, the biggest question, I think, from what James is, how are you using your time? What are you doing with it? I mean, you have life to live and jobs, and I get that. And Mrs. Huberger did too. Somehow she managed to still influence this little kid, this little snot-nosed, rowdy little kid who would walk 1 minute and 6 seconds. Probably took longer with my shorter legs then. And I probably wasn't all that straight as I was this time in my walk. Probably took 4 minutes. But she invested eternally. How are you investing in the kingdom? What are you doing that's going to outlive you? That 10,000 years from today, you'll still be celebrating. Man, I'm glad I did that. Glad I taught that child. Glad I encouraged that Christian who was struggling. Whatever it is, the eternal things. What are you doing? Are you teaching a class? Are you leading or participating in a small group? Are you sharing your faith? And you don't have to be obnoxious about it. Just sharing your faith in some way with the people where you work or your neighborhood, the family, whoever that doesn't know. A spiritual mentor of some kind. You don't have to walk around with like a lesson plan. I mean, just being a Jesus person, letting Jesus flow through you into people's lives can have an eternal impact on them that you don't even know. You don't even know how God is using that. So I think that's part of what James is getting to here in this text is hey, you're a vapor. Okay, we get it. So live for God. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. I mean, you got to pay your bills, you got to live, you got to manage. That's great. He's given you opportunity to do that. But engage in his work in some way. And you get to celebrate with all of heaven. Let's pray.